So what we're going to be talking about are the 4 keys to having quick hands when we're up at the net. So the first key that we want to focus on is our ready position. And if you watch any pro pickleball or just people play pickleball, even in amateurs that are good amateur players, you'll see that everybody has a different ready position. A lot of people will have their paddle up, maybe both hands on the paddle, and paddle out in front of them, which is a great standard ready position, something that you'd see in sports like padel or tennis. And then you see people like J.W. Johnson, who has, I mean, from what everybody has said that has played against him, I never have, is that he has the fastest hands, yet his ready position, his paddle's down here at his knees. So it's obviously not a one size fits all, but he has extremely fast hands. So what is it that he's doing that I could implement, and does it work for my game? And then you have someone like Ben Johns, who has remarkably fast hands, and his ready position, his paddle's out in front, left hand sometimes on, most of the time off, and his tip of his paddle is facing his opponents, but has like a slightward upward trajectory. Annalie Waters has this. You got someone like Hayden Quinn, who has the tip of their paddle facing forwards like this. The dude has wicked fast hands. His ready position is actually very similar to Matt Wright's a lot of the time, and Matt has some of the fastest hands in pickleball. So something to note, he has his tip facing his opponents. With this, it's nearly impossible to hit slice on any ball that's gonna go above waist height, because his ready position's right here. Everything above waist height, his counters are all going to have to be topspin because he's moving upward into the ball. Anything below, he's going to be hitting slice, which is actually perfect because anything low you would want to reset anyway. If you speed up a low ball, it's going to go right into the strike zone of your opponent, and it's really not going to fare well for you in the end. So that's what works for him. I've tried this one. I like my tip just slightly up because I feel a little bit more comfortable, because I do like to get that backspin on, have the option to reset. If that ball comes a little bit slower, I can then hit over the ball. But if you go watch him, his hands are absolutely wicked. Okay, that brings us to point number 2. So point number 2 is footwork. And a lot of people overlook footwork, but I'm gonna be sharing a hack with you guys that'll help you to have faster hands just by simply thinking about your feet. So the number one thing with footwork is we wanna make sure that we have a wide base so that we're on balance. If we have a skinny base in here like a pencil and someone hits us out wide, our legs are gonna be hitting into each other, which is not what we want in pickleball. In pickleball, we want more of a shuffle as we go to the ball. So making sure that we're outside of our shoulders and our base, and bending our knees. Bending our knees is gonna send signals to our brain to be ready for the next shot. Automatically, it's gonna make us quicker just by simply bending our knees. And it might sound crazy, but you guys can see the difference if you guys go try it out for yourselves. Having straight legs and then having bent legs. Because another hack, or another thing that it helps with, is allowing you to already be low for the counters. If you end up hitting a ball high, you're already low to counter the next shot. If you only focus on your feet, your arms will take care of themselves. So what I mean by that is, if your opponent speeds up a ball, let's say they initiate the hands battle. If they speed up the ball, all that you have to focus on is moving your feet out of the way, and your paddle will automatically make up for the rest. So I have that's so long as you have a wide base and bent knees. I have a wide base, bent knees. I'm just focused on moving my legs, shifting them out of the way, which the footwork for that is, if I'm backhand countering, I'm simply just jolting off of my inside leg, which is for me, my left leg. If I was backhand countering on the even side, I'm jolting off of my left leg and then doing kind of a shuffle to the side, right? With both feet. I'm airborne, but I'm not jumping. I'm just shifting to the side. Automatically your paddle will take care of itself from that point. So if I'm doing it on the forehand side, it's gonna look like this, where I'm just shifting. I'm coming about that far off the ground. I'm not trying to get big air and dunk a basketball, right? I'm just simply shifting to the side, and I'm gonna counter. Another thing to note, majority of your counters should be on the backhand side, because you have a lot more reach on your backhand side than your forehand. And I'll show what that means right now. if someone hits me out wide to my backhand, pretty easy to backhand counter. If they hit it at my left shoulder, again, pretty easy, pretty simple to counter. If they hit it at my right hip, all the way over here, a backhand's gonna make more sense than hitting a forehand, because our elbow gets in the way, or our body gets in the way of our elbow to allow us to be able to counter that shot. If I get hit up here in the shoulder, that's really the only time that it's gonna make sense to shift to that other side, in a sense. But if you're already fully committed to your backhand, simply moving your feet to the side, now you're right where they hit at that right shoulder, hitting a backhand. And then once you get into a hands battle, it's gonna be probably 50-50 that you're hitting. But that's a great tip to be able to help you guys be ready for more speed ups if all you have to focus on is just hitting this side of the paddle, which this side of the paddle is a lot weaker than this side of the paddle, but it's going to be a lot more consistent because you have all of this reach. Okay, so point number 3 is keeping our strokes concise when in a hands battle, because there's nothing worse than when you hit a big shot, right? And you think the point's over, and then they get it back, and then you're late to the next shot. And the reason for that is because you hit this big, huge swing, and then you had to follow through, otherwise you're gonna hurt your arm. When in reality, what you wanna do is keep your strokes very concise. And the rule of thumb that I use to be able to help me do this is I don't wanna go past my shoulders with my paddle. So I don't wanna reach way back here and then hit. It should never go out of my peripheral sight. So if I go past my shoulder, if I show you guys on this side, if I go past my shoulder, that's way too big of a stroke, and I'm gonna be super late on the ball, especially in a hands battle. You're only 14 feet away from your opponent, so you're not coming out on top of that hands battle unless you get really lucky. So a good rule of thumb is to just come to the shoulder, forward, and then we're back in ready position. We're not coming to the shoulder, big huge swing through here, right? Because then we're not ready for the next shot. It's not gonna set us up for success. So we wanna be boom, and we're back out in front, just like that. If it's a backhand, boom, we're back out in front. If it's a one-hander, boom, we're back out in front, ready to counter that next ball. And then it really comes down to what's your ready position from there, because that's where you wanna end. If your ready position is J-dubs, which I wouldn't suggest for everybody, but if it happens to be where it's down here, you'll wanna be hitting these shots and then getting back to ready position as quickly as possible. You're not going to be able to do that if you're swinging all the way through it, this big, huge motion. So just use that rule of thumb, only come to the shoulder as far as you go, and you'll see your hands will be extremely, extremely faster because the stroke is so much more concise and you're ready for the next shot. Another huge tip is just be ready for the next shot. It's pickleball, you're hitting a wiffle ball, right? The wiffle ball is probably gonna come back even when you think it's not. And if you're not ready for that next shot, you're never gonna be able to take your game to the next level, because at the next level, they're gonna get that shot back at least 50% of the time, right? Whereas maybe on the level you're at now, where you hit this big shot, you start walking back, they only get it back 1 out of 100 times. But all of a sudden at the next level, it's like, no, they're getting it back 50 out of the 100 times, and it's just that next level. So always be ready. Remember, you're hitting a wiffle ball. And that is tip number 3. So the last and final tip for this that we want to focus on is making sure that we are staying relaxed. And it might feel super weird, especially when we're in a hands battle, to stay relaxed. And I don't mean that we just stand straight up and down, right? We got to follow the other rules, having a wide base, making sure that our knees are bent and we're ready for the next shot. But being relaxed, meaning our grip pressure is maybe a 2 out of 5. We're relaxed on the pressure, right? It's not super firm, it's not super light, but it's a good in between, right? Maybe slightly more towards the light side. Our arms are relaxed, and that's when we're gonna play our best pickleball and be able to win these hand battles. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed those tips. Be sure to subscribe. I upload 1 video every single week just to be able to bring you guys value, help you guys to improve. So I would so appreciate it if you guys could just hit that subscribe button, maybe click that bell so that you guys are notified for the next video. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.